Hello, hello, ladies. Good evening. Karen, Sanat. Oh, yeah. Karen, where are you from? I keep wanting to ask you every time and I forget.
I'm from Estonia,
Oh, okay.
but
No,
I'm living in Egypt.
yeah, I figured.
Yeah,
I was wondering where
yeah,
you're from. Okay.
yeah.
Estonia. I don't know. I don't think I've ever met anybody. I think you're the first person I know from Estonia.
Yeah, it's a small country.
Yeah,
Our
yeah.
population 1,300,000.
Wow, that's like
Yes, exactly.
nine.
I think even smaller.
Yeah. Oh, lovely to
Yeah,
have.
but most of the people don't know this country. So then I need to explain. We have, yeah, one side we have Russia, then we have Sweden and Finland and
Yeah.
Estonian. Our language is similar like
Okay.
Finnish language.
Okay.
So yeah, and we was used to occupied by Russia and all these things. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, I know Estonia. I just never met anybody. You're the first person I meet from there.
Hmm. Yeah, we are not that much in
Yeah.
in Egypt also.
Right? Like of all places.
Yeah,
Well, lovely to have you.
thank
All
you.
right. All right, ladies. Sandra's here, Hiba and Habiba and Shadeen. Welcome, ladies. All right, today we're talking supplements. You have a whole section in your guide on supplements. Here's what you really need to know about supplements. Like I know like so much of what I'm teaching you here is about, unlearning things that you've learned, or things you've heard about conventionally or mainstream. And supplements is really no different. Supplements, as the word implies, are something that you add on to something. They're supplementary. They are not the foundation of anything. So they're not the foundation for healing. They're not the foundation for making you better. They are something that you sort of pick and choose based on what your deficiency might be, and then you bring it in to give some support. But what I see happening is that people, without creating the proper healing foundation first, without getting to the root cause first, are either being prescribed supplements or read something and go and take all of these supplements, which 99.9% of all supplements in the world are very, very low grade synthetic supplements, which are full of additives, chemicals, fillers, and the synthetic version of the vitamin or the mineral that you're trying to get. So very little benefit and potentially more harm than good. And then people will say, right, so if I'm taking all of these supplements and I don't need to do the harder work, which is to actually get to the root cause. So with supplements, the most important thing you need to always remember is that it is a support tool, not a foundational tool. What we are doing here, you need to create, we're doing the food foundation, right? Whatever you're eating, whatever you're drinking, we added in the products yesterday because your body interacts with everything you breathe, everything you eat, everything you drink, everything you put on your skin, and your stress. So that's almost, we've covered everything basically, except your emotional state, and we're getting to that. So we've also done, the mental piece. That's how you create a foundation of healing. That's how you get to the root cause to see where the imbalance is. It's not about taking 15 different supplements, even when you're healing. So so many ladies come to me and just people I know in personally who I don't work with. And there's this one person that I know, she was given, I forget the number of supplements, but it cost her 40,000 Egyptian pounds. This was 6 months ago, so maybe the dollar was a bit different, but it cost her 40,000 Egyptian pounds to buy all the supplements that were prescribed to her. And all I could think of, well, that's 40,000 pounds that you put to better use if you go and invest in all organic vegetables, invest it in all hormone grass-fed, animal protein, invest it in, I don't know, a juicer, you know what I mean? Something that's going to stay with you on this journey, not something that is going to provide a sort of that's what supplements do. It's like sort of a temporary boost, especially if you're not working on the foundation. So in your guide, I've listed, again, sort of like the skin products, all the ingredients you need to be looking out for in your supplements that are doing more harm than good. The reason you might have been prescribed a supplement by, let's say, your doctor, and they tell you, and the reason some people have a fear of supplements and they tell you not to use it for more than 3 months at a time is because of these ingredients. So they don't tell you why. It's because they are synthetic versions of the vitamins and minerals. And because of all the added chemicals and fillers and things that you don't need, are an overload on your liver, are toxic to your liver. So when and if we choose supplements, I've also again given you a list of recommended brands that either have no added chemicals or fillers or very minimal chemicals and fillers so that they're not going to add to your toxic load, but help you heal. How do you choose the right supplement that you need? Once you've created a health foundation that is a lifestyle that carries you on, and that includes what you eat and what you drink and what you put on your skin, getting time in the sun. We need time in the sun. We need the sunshine. Your sleep pattern, your circadian rhythm is balanced. You exercise, you get movement, you spend time with people that you love, you spend time doing the things that you love. You know, you have a passion, you have hobbies. All of those are really important to your health. Once you've addressed all of that and you still feel like your health is not quite where you want it to be, then we look at, right, how can we supplement, bring in some extra help to this foundation to boost it along? And then when you choose the supplement you feel is the one that you need, it's also not something you're going to take long term. Not because of the worry on the liver anymore, if you're choosing the right brand, but because you don't want to become dependent on something external to help, like caffeine, for example, right? You don't want to be dependent on something, an external stimulant for your health. Supplements are there to help you on your journey, to boost you while you're on your journey, definitely fill in a gap here or there while you're on your journey. But at some point you want to taper off and see how your body does on your own. So I've listed the very, you know, out of the ones that I've listed, that those are the ones that generally I see women need. Those ones listed in your guide. Those are the essentials, let's put it that way. And then I've given you a list of all the ingredients to look for if you're currently taking any supplements at home to compare, same way that you did with your beauty products yesterday. And again, same way if you're not sure, take a picture and show me. We removed all of the supplements at the beginning of the program. At this point, I would say almost all of you are still in the process of creating a foundation. There is no urgency for anybody to be adding in a supplement right now. Early days, still, you're still getting rid of your old terrain, internal terrain that's still being, cleared out. You are building and creating and boosting a new terrain, and that still, you haven't been doing that long enough where you can say, where you can pinpoint, say something is not right or something is deficient. I would say we get to that before we wrap up the program together in a couple of months. But right now you have that information to keep in mind. I will say, however, the one supplement I would recommend everybody to start with, and this is the one, in my 11 years of, I used to take all the supplements, and then I tapered it down, and I would take just a few, and then I would take just one, and then I sort of to see what combination works best. And the one that I see, whether for myself or for my clients, or generally the one that most people are deficient in, men and women, and the one that makes the biggest difference, and the one that you can cycle through on and off and on and off, is magnesium. And the reason for that is because magnesium is called the master mineral. Without it, a lot of other vitamins and minerals wouldn't be functioning properly or metabolized properly in your body anyway. And then it's also the relaxation mineral. So between being a master mineral, meaning it deals with almost every kind of function in your body, it's also a relaxation mineral. So it is important for if you have any kind of anxiety, anything that's uptight in you, right? Anything. So whether that's your nerves, you've got anxiety, whether, you have mood swings, whether you are constipated. So that's just like your intestines being really uptight. That's if you have period cramps, right? That's your uterus being really uptight. Any kind of high blood pressure, that's, your arteries being really, really tight. If you have headaches, that's tightness in your head. If you get muscle cramps, that's tightness in your muscles. If you, what else? Sleepiness, right? You can't relax. It's a relaxation mineral. So if you can't go to sleep, if you have insomnia. So magnesium covers an incredible range of bodily functions that when they're not working, literally the easiest fix is magnesium. Chocolate cravings, right? What is chocolate full of? Natural chocolate. It's full of magnesium. When you are PMSing and you have that urge to have a lot of chocolate, it's because your body is it intuitively knows that it needs magnesium to relax. It also knows that it needs magnesium before your period because magnesium dips before our period. It also knows that it needs magnesium because if you're going to get period cramps, it's going to ease up the cramps. But we just go for the chocolate, not understanding that it's actually the magnesium that is helping us. And you feel so much better after eating chocolate. Actually, you feel so much better after eating chocolate anytime because of the magnesium, right? It's a feel-good mineral. So this is probably the only one that I would say you could start right now if you wanted to start something. So if you've got constipation, if you're not sleeping well, if you're still kind of anxious, if you've got panic attacks, if you still get headaches, migraines, any one of those that I just mentioned, go ahead and start with magnesium. If you have magnesium at home or you've been using it, show me the list of ingredients. If not, unfortunately, again, the ones I've recommended are not easily, you can't find the brands here. There are a couple of online supermarkets that you can find them on. But what you want to do, if you can't find one of the brands that I've recommended, is to find a brand that has as little as possible ingredients in it. You basically want the vitamin or the mineral that's missing, and that's it. Basically, right? You don't want, they give you like added things and they give you fillers and they give you on and on and on a list and call. You don't want any of that. So maximum, maybe 1 or 2 ingredients. So show me what you've got. Even if you want to show me all the other stuff that you've got, even though you're not going to take it, but just for your knowledge, just so you can understand the difference in quality between the different brands. All right. Questions, ladies. Oh, lots of questions already. Noher, hi then. I eat my salad and lunch and soup and dinner. Is this okay? If you're not hungry, then this is okay. And make sure you're having something between lunch and dinner. So you're having apples with your dates. You're having maybe half a smoothie. You're having maybe a fruit salad that I posted. Like you're not going 5 or 6 hours completely without anything. Sandra, our pediatrician suggested that my kids should start taking Osteocare because my eldest is changing teeth now and have white. No, I'm not even going to read what the excuse is. Absolutely not. Taking calcium, even as women right now, is not recommended for the way that calcium can collect in the arteries, can collect in the joints. Definitely do not give Osteocare or any supplements like this to children. No, if your child, okay, let me finish reading it. I have white spots on her face and weak, short memory, and the youngest has very thin hair and weak nails. What do you think? I'm already looking at different deficiencies besides calcium. If he is detecting a calcium deficiency, he hasn't tested for it, but he's just sort of clinically observing that this looks like a calcium deficiency. Here's why a calcium deficiency happens in any age. In young kids, and I'm gonna guess, Sandra, that your kids are probably, they had their milk, they have their cheese, they're eating dairy, I'm guessing, as most kids do, maybe flavored yogurt, flavored milks. Here's why we see a calcium deficiency. Bear with me here, because this is a bit of a long explanation. So, calcium is one of your alkaline minerals in your body. Right? You have calcium and you have magnesium. These are incredibly alkaline minerals. Remember, we're always trying to keep the body alkaline. When the body becomes more acidic, right, that's when the body is going more towards disease. It's easy to catch a cold and stay sick. It's easy for you to develop, there's inflammation, so other chronic disease develops, all right? We know our bodies are super, super smart. They're not gonna wait for you to take action. Believe it or not, all of your bodies have been doing something to fight off the inflammation in your body, even though you might not be aware of it. So one of the ways that the body has a self-defense mechanism, inflammation, we talked about it, initially is a self-defense mechanism. The body's going to initiate inflammation to try and heal this internal wound that you have inadvertently inflicted upon your insides because of the things that you're eating all the time. So inflammation initially is to try and put out the fires of that wound, but it doesn't, and then it keeps trying to heal and heal and heal, that it turns into chronic inflammation, which then turns into chronic disease. So that's the first way. The second way the body has this built-in self-defense is water retention. So whenever you eat something that's highly inflammatory, and we've all had this experience, and you wake up the next day all puffy, like you can't take your ring off, or you come to put on, clothes that you had just put on 2 days ago, and it's very tight, you can't button the buttons, and you feel puffiness in your face. That's because your body will buffer itself and buffer its organs by retaining water to protect your body and your organs from the toxicity of the foods that you just ate, from that pizza, from that burger, from whatever it is that you've just had. The other thing that the body does is called the calcium effect. So if you are continuously eating highly inflammatory foods, and remember the inflammatory foods are acidic, and when something is acidic, it's more hot. Acidity is hot, where alkaline is more cool. So when you're continuously eating foods that are heating up your blood, right? And when we talk about alkalinity and acidity, we're talking about the alkalinity of basically the blood moving through your body. So you keep eating things that are inflammatory and acidic. So you keep eating bread, and you have your dairy, so you have milk and cheese and yogurt and coffee and sodas and the junk and the whole list of inflammatory foods, all right? So little by little, gradually, day by day, meal by meal, and this happens to children also, your blood becomes more acidic. So the blood flowing through your veins and through your arteries, coursing through your body, is hot, which means it's injuring the lining of your veins and your arteries. It's like scorching through it. Just one of the things that happens. So how does the body, remember, the body has its own built-in ways to put out the fires. So one of the things it does before it gets to the calcium effect is cortisol, right? So cortisol comes in, but cortisol is still also, it's too much cortisol is also acidic. It's an acidic hormone at the end of the day when it's used more than it needs to be. So then the body has another line of defense. It pulls your calcium from your bones because calcium is alkaline, the most alkaline mineral in your body. So in order to literally cool down your blood, it's going to take from your own reserves of calcium in your bones, as well as magnesium from your bones, pull it to cool off the blood and cool off the inflammation in your body. And it will keep doing that every single time it feels the threat of inflammation or heat in the body. Of course, the body's doing this on one end to save itself, but then on the other end, you end up with a calcium deficiency. So if there is a calcium deficiency, if you're suspecting yourself or the doctor suspecting in your kids, it's not because they're not drinking enough milk. The irony here is because milk is one of the foods that are inflammatory going into their system or going into your system, creating an increase in acidity, in heat, so that one of the ways the body has to counter to heal this is leach its own sources of calcium and magnesium, the alkaline cooling minerals, to put out the fire of the acidity of the inflammation, thereby causing a deficiency in calcium. So the solution is not to take a synthetic version of calcium to fix it. That's not why you have a calcium deficiency. It's not because you're not consuming enough calcium. You have a deficiency because your body's using up what it's got. As soon as you stop the inflammation, as soon as you stop the burning up of your body, the heating up of your body and the acidity, the body's going to turn off this response. It's not going to keep leaching calcium from your bones anymore. All right, so please do not do that. If your kids are eating junk and sodas and French fries and chicken pané and drinking milk, if they're over the age of 2 and drinking milk and eating cheese and eating yogurt, those are highly inflammatory foods for anyone. That's your solution. Sanat, what do you think of chlorella, spirulina? Okay, so we're talking about those either tomorrow or the day after, when we talk about superfoods and we talk about adaptogens. So we'll get to those tomorrow. Okay, Sanat? No, hey, yes, sure. I don't miss my apples and dates. And what about coconut? Coconut, yes, coconut water is great. Acai berry, if you are getting it, make sure that it doesn't have any added sugar. That's the biggest issue, that sometimes it has a lot of added sugar, but other than that, that's fine. Yasmin, go ahead, because nobody has their hand up.
Okay, thanks. So I have a couple of questions, please.
Go ahead.
First of all, I know that the stomach has hydrochloric acid, right?
That's right.
So when you say that we should be going more towards alkaline, you mean the blood and
doesn't
not...
include, yeah, doesn't include the stomach. Doesn't include the stomach. Your stomach has to stay a certain acidity for digestion. When I say alkaline, alkalize the body, I'm talking about your blood.
Okay, but I mean all the alkaline food, it doesn't do anything to the acid in the stomach, right?
No.
It's
No,
only...
no. Well, it can if the inflammatory foods can decrease that acid, so you get an imbalance, right? So eating too much of the inflammatory foods can cause your body to stop producing, and that's how you end up with acid reflux. Believe it or not, acid reflux is not because you have too much acid, it's because you have too little, as a result of consuming too much inflammatory foods. So alkaline foods always come in and work with the body. As acidic foods always are going to cause damage somewhere. And one of the ways that they do that is they will decrease the amount of, and this is the acid you need for your body to digest. And there's many different types of acid in the stomach and digestive enzymes and things. And they all need to be working together. They all need to be produced in the right quantity. So the alkaline foods will not affect that. It's the acidic foods that will affect the production, the proper production of the acid in the stomach. So yeah, so just to be clear, when I say you want to keep your body, because it's sort of a general statement, when I say you want to make sure your body is alkaline, I'm not talking about the stomach. The stomach needs to stay at a certain level of acidity because it's got the digestive enzymes and acids.
Okay, thanks. And regarding the, just one moment, please. I'm checking the questions. Yeah. Okay, so now I have an issue with exercise. It's been a number of years since I've properly exercised. And, just like maybe 2 years ago or something, I started getting into the habit of walking to the bus stop, because there was a point in time when I was taking buses, but still, I mean, now I don't anymore because my work is too close to the extent that, bus is not really applicable. And I want to get at least walking back into my routine.
Yeah.
And the thing is, there are moments when I get that sudden interest or that sudden energy, like I want to take a walk, but then it would be during my working hours. So I wouldn't be able to go. And the time when I would actually have the time, I wouldn't be in the mood or wouldn't have the energy. So what would you recommend me do to be consistent with that?
So let me ask you this. Have you established that it is walking that you want to do and you don't want to consider any other form of exercise? Because with exercise, the exercise that works is the one that you really want to do, not the one that is recommended, right? Not the one that, like I say, go and walk, it's the easiest. What is the one you really want to do? If it's walking, then we'll go with that conversation. But I just want you to give yourself an opportunity to really think, like, what's the exercise that I would need the least motivation to go do? Like the one that I'd be like, oh my God, I get to go do this now.
Maybe I would consider dancing, for example.
Okay.
And the thing is, for me, I would need people as well.
Okay,
Like for me to take a walk alone would be
Okay.
very demotivating,
okay.
but definitely people would, not that anyone should depend on someone for that, but I know that would motivate me.
There's nothing wrong with that, right? Here's the thing. Your critter brain is not going to love the idea of exercise. Remember, the critter brain wants to avoid pain, and it wants you just to be comfortable all the time. And it wants you just to feel pleasure all the time. And exercise initially doesn't fit into any of those categories. Okay, it requires you to go get out of your comfort. It requires you to go and do something that's not necessarily pleasurable at the beginning. It could be quite painful at the beginning if your muscles are kind of sore from not working out. So your critter brain is not going to be on board initially. So to support that, one, you choose something that is, if it's fun, then the critter brain is going to be excited about you doing it. And just like you have people in this group supporting you on your eating journey, you might need that on your exercise journey as well, like to motivate you to work out. Like maybe you get a workout buddy, right? Or if you don't need somebody like that personal contact, but you need to have, you know, the energy of other people in the room while you work out, then there's absolutely nothing wrong with doing that, you know, because it's you need to identify, and you have, like, you want dancing and you want people. Like, this is what's going to get you to do it. So instead of like walking is great. Walking is the easiest thing to do. But if walking is like drudgery for you, then what's the point? It's not going to happen. Like at the end of the day, it's not going to happen. Even it might be a million times better than dancing. But if it doesn't happen, then what's the point? So we want to choose the one that we know you're going to be excited about. And if you know that it has to include dancing and it has to include people, then those are your non-negotiables for exercise, then that's what you go for.
Okay, great. And then one last one, and then since there are some other questions that came up, and maybe I can go later if there is a chance. So regarding the apple cider vinegar to soak the veggies in,
Yeah.
Does the apple cider vinegar itself have to be organic or not necessarily?
No, it doesn't. No, you could even use regular vinegar for this, because apple cider vinegar, the raw one especially, is quite pricey. I wouldn't even use that just for washing fruits and vegetables. You can use baking soda, like just put a tablespoon of baking soda if you've got like a big bin of the fruits and veggies. That's it. Or regular vinegar. I wouldn't go for something high quality like apple cider vinegar. Not necessarily, no.
Okay.
Okay. All right, let's see here. Mariam, do you know if Ahmed tea, the infusions, the ones without black tea, are fine? Typically, yes. Like if you're talking about the fruit ones, there's fruit, as long as there's no, you know, take a look at the ingredients. I haven't looked at those ingredients in a long time. I can't recall. But if it's just a fruit, then that should be perfectly fine. If it's just an apple pear or like an apple cinnamon mix or something, or lemon something, yeah, that should be fine. Hiba, what about Maya and inositol? So again, this is something more specifically if you have PCOS and things like that. Again, you want to choose the right brand. And again, you want to only start using it if you've been doing this eating and you've been healing yourself, and 3 and 4 months in, you haven't seen any changes, right? Which rarely happens. Then you would say, right, I need some extra support. Let me put it in. Ashwagandha is an adaptogen. We'll talk about that either tomorrow or the day after. Shadeen, hi Dana, hello. I noticed I kind of have a slight dark puffy bags under my eyes. Any idea? Yes, so puffy bags under your eyes is a type of edema under your eyes, and this can happen from either or kidney or liver not filtering properly. So this is, you have very thin skin under here, and it just happens to be one of the places where when the kidneys are not filtering properly, so there's water building up in your body. And if the kidneys are also responsible for blood sugar regulation, they're also responsible for blood pressure regulation. All of that can affect the way that fluids collect in the body. So I mean, we're doing what you need to do, right? It also, if you sleep late, I mean, that will do it also. Also sleeping really late regularly will do that. So what you need to do is just keep doing what you're doing. And then I can recommend something also tag me in the group. I'll recommend something for that. What supplements should we be taking besides magnesium? Right now, nothing. The first one that I recommend for all of you is magnesium. In the guide, I have a list of the other more basic ones that women could be taking: vitamin C, the B vitamins, zinc. But again, these are not absolutely necessary unless in a couple months' time we feel like we need to add them in. I don't want you, it's too early now to define where the deficiencies might be, with the exception of magnesium, because it just covers such a huge range, right? So once you have really this way of eating and this way of living is your new normal, and you're sleeping and waking up early, and you're sleeping deeply and not waking up in the middle of the night, and you've got energy throughout the day, and you are working out, and you're getting daily sunshine, and you are, you're living this completely holistic, healthy lifestyle where your body is the machine and it's a well-oiled machine, then we see if something is still missing, then we add it in. I get extremely painful periods. I was wondering if I can eat my smoothie fruits instead of drink it to avoid the coldness. Yes, you can definitely do that. And definitely start with the magnesium. It will help with that also. And just as we get rid of the inflammation in your body, even if you don't take the magnesium, over several cycles, it will take several cycles, you will see that pain reduce and disappear. Also, I'm repeating the 9 days, and today was the first Brussels sprouts a day. I'm really craving potato or sweet potato, and I heard they're good for periods. Is it true? Yes, they're definitely very good for periods. So you can have some today. Will it have an immediate effect on your period today? Not guaranteed, but definitely when you are eating and you're cycling potatoes into your routine, and you're not in the 9-day cycle, and maybe you're more in hybrid and clean eating, and you add potatoes in regularly, then it will have a cumulative effect. Yes. No hate. How many times we can do the 9 days? As many times as you want. You can keep doing the 9 days over and over and over for the rest of your life if you want to. No problems there. I know you mentioned collagen before, but can you please tell us what is an alternative? So when we say there's something that you don't need, like it doesn't do anything, so then that automatically means that you don't need an alternative, right? So if you don't need collagen, there's no need for an alternative. Like when we say you don't need bread, so you don't need an alternative, because if there's something that's not providing a benefit, why would you need to give an alternative to something that's already not providing a benefit? When it comes to collagen, remember what I said yesterday, collagen needs to be stimulated, and it's stimulated by fruits and vegetables. That's it. That's what stimulates collagen. That's what slows down the breakdown of collagen, as well as not consuming the foods that break down the collagen and the elastin. So the processed sugars, the bread, the pasta, the dairy, all of these, the junk, these break down your collagen. So you want to stop the breakdown, you want to halt it, and you want to consume the foods that are the nutrients that feed collagen. All the fruits and vegetables, and if you want to be a little bit more focused, then all the vitamin C fruits and vegetables. Hiba, I have always had dark circles around my eyes and started putting concealer since high school, college time maybe. Does it get better? Yes, 100% it gets better. And I will also tag me and recommend something that you can use for that. Can you explain why potatoes are good for periods? There is something in the, I forget the name of it, one of the compounds in potatoes that is healing for the hormones. I will find it and tag me, and I'll put it for you in the group. I can't remember the name of the compound off the top of my head. And I had a post on that, but I still can't remember. Hang on. I actually posted that. 1 second. When did I do that? Let me check. If you guys don't mind, just bear with me for like 1 second. I will find the post I did a few months ago about why, here we go, one of the best foods to have. Potatoes and sweet potatoes and regular potatoes. There we go, I found it. And the reason for that is where is it? Okay, because it helps to balance your estrogen, okay? What potatoes do is before your period, the imbalances or like shifts in your hormones start to happen all over your body, right? And one of those places where you might have a shift is inside your gut. So in terms of microbial health, right? At the point of ovulation, you want that to be strong. You don't want to have weak digestive health in the couple weeks leading up to your period, from the point of ovulation leading to the point of menstruation, okay? Because like we said, the digestive system and your liver specifically is what's going to filter this estrogen. So potatoes what they do is they will actually feed your microbiome. So that your microbiome and the microbes, the good bacteria in your digestive gut that will keep your digestion balanced during this time. Potatoes are actually great food for these, right? They flourish when they eat potatoes, and then the gut functions optimally. Potatoes also help to bring down cortisol, right? So let's say that before your period, you're stressed, you have PMS, you're anxious. Potatoes will help to calm you down. And what else do they do? Let me read the rest of this post. Right, so they've got vitamin C, the enzymes and the minerals, and that it's the antibiotic properties that do that. So it's sort of an indirect way they balance the digestive system, which includes your liver, that needs to be balanced in order to, for estrogen, remember PMS and period cramps, it's when estrogen and progesterone have a really big gap. They're supposed to shift, but we want the shift just to be like this. So they need to have a little shift, not a big shift. And that happens when you have a strong and robust digestive system, with the liver being able to filter out the estrogen, and potatoes contribute to that by making sure your microbiome and the healthy bacteria in your gut are well fed so they can function optimally. That's why. My homeopath recommends I take Shilajit pills. It's mainly for boosting my energy, but if I feel better and more energetic, then no need, right? That's what I'm saying. We want it. That's why we took and removed all the supplements, so that also you can have a clear picture of your body. So if you were still taking certain things, you wouldn't know if that energy was coming from, you know, your whatever supplement you're taking or not. So if you have natural, the same thing with coffee. If you have natural energy in the morning now, why do you need any kind of external stimulant, whether that's a supplement or caffeine? You don't. You have rebalanced your body's natural sources of energy, which is your mitochondria, which are the powerhouses of your cells, deep inside your cells. Nothing beats that. Sally, can you repost this one of the potatoes, please? Yes, of course. Tag me to remind me, please. All right, ladies. So go through and look at the list of.
Come in last minute. Can I ask? I have a few questions.
Oh, hi, Zaina. How are you? Go ahead.
I'm good, thank you.
How are you feeling?
Better. I'm feeling much better, thankfully.
Good.
It's I know. So yeah. I wanted to ask about buckwheat.
Mm.
How do we feel about buckwheat?
So buckwheat is, you know, despite the name, it is not a glutinous grain. So it's not wheat. It's not a derivative of wheat. It's a completely gluten-free grain, but it's still a grain, right? So any grain, even the good ones, better ones like buckwheat or millet or any of these non-glutinous grains are still going to be more on the acidic and inflammatory side. So you can put them under the category of quinoa, you know, lentils, beans, and all of that in terms of frequency, in terms of how they can create acidity in the body, in terms of how they can potentially create inflammation in the body, same category. The only thing is why they've sort of gained popularity is because they are a substitute for gluten. Like you can have, you know, they can make bread out of buckwheat, they can make bread out of millet, you know, things like that. It doesn't make the product good for you, right? You've removed the gluten, so you're not going to have the problems associated with gluten, but you're not having a product that's going to heal you. right? And ultimately what you want to do is you want to always be eating something that's healing most of the time. So when you look at your plate, you want to make sure that almost everything you're eating on the plate is healing. Every once in a while, you're going to have something that's not so healing. Yeah, we know that. No big deal. Sometimes you're going to be eating things that won't necessarily make you sick, like buckwheat. But is it healing? It's not healing. So just know that when you consume it.
Okay, thank you. So I'm just, yeah, okay, that answers another question I had. And then could you share some sort of like source or further reading about the sort of acidity and alkaline inflammation in our body and how that balances out? I'd like to read a bit more about it. I'm quite interested in. Yeah,
I
where
think
can I
probably
find
I'll
that?
share some links, but I think generally anything by Dr. Mark Hyman, who was one of my teachers at nutrition school. He talks a lot about inflammation and acidity and alkalinity. Who else? I think he's one of the main ones. I'll look up and send you some links. If I forget, please remind me, Zena.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Let me see, I'm missing something. Hiba. Sometimes the time of my ovulation, the symptom is harder than the period itself. Yes, that is, this used to happen to me. I remember it only happened after I had my daughter. Like it never happen to me before pregnancy. It only happened after pregnancy. And I remember the first time it happened, it was so painful. I thought it was appendicitis. And I went to the hospital and the doctor assured me that it wasn't appendicitis. They ruled that out, but the pain was so severe. And he was like, oh, this is called, it was like a German name, like something that translates to mid-cycle pains, which is ovulation pains. And I said, okay, so what do I do? Like what? He's like, no, this is nothing. It's very normal and it happens and it could happen again. And literally, this was when I was 24, they started. And like so many other issues that I had, they continued and they got worse and worse and worse every single month until I became a health coach. And then they got so bad that my period is extremely regular and my ovulation is extremely regular, that it got to the point where I could literally pinpoint when that pain was going to be triggered every single month. So I always had my painkillers and it used to always come at 4 a.m. And so before I go to sleep that night, I know it's 4 a.m. This is the day it's going to happen. I would take 2 very strong painkillers and go to sleep so that when it happens at 4 a.m., it would be more dull than sharp. And then it would still wake me up, but not horribly sharp. And then at 4 a.m., I would take 2 more painkillers. And then for the next 4 days of my ovulation, I would take 2 painkillers every 4 hours for 4 days. So you do the math for how many painkillers I used to take every single month. I don't know. 30 pills, 32, I don't know, 2 pills on every 4 hours, 24 hours for 4 days. And every time I would go for a checkup and I would remind my doctor this, like, nothing you can do about it, nothing we can do about it. It just happens for some women. Just take your painkillers. Misha comes and then it goes after 4 days. And then lo and behold, I did my first ever detox. And the first month, no, not first month. I did my first detox. I think it was 4 months in. I put my medicine next to my bed, the usual way that that I did. Took my 2 pills before I went to sleep. And then I woke up at 7 a.m. normally with my kids. And I was like, wait a minute, I didn't wake up at 4 o'clock. I was like, did I miscalculate the days? Is today not the day? I checked my calendar. It was the day. And then a few hours later, I felt that dull ache sort of come in, not the sharp one, like a dull ache. And then of course I panicked because I didn't want the sharp pain to come in. And if you've ever had this pain, it's almost like you're in labor. It's awful. So I quickly took 2 more pills. And then just because I know the routine, I continued to take the pills for the rest of the 3 days. And it never occurred, nobody said ever, even when I first became a health coach. I didn't learn a lot of this hormone stuff until I dug deeper into it about 6 years ago. So even at the beginning of my journey as a health coach, I didn't know this. And it never occurred to me that I just thought, okay, maybe it just didn't wake me up. Maybe the pain wasn't this bad this month. And then every month after that, it would repeat where I wouldn't wake up. The 4 a.m. pain stopped coming. And then the 10 a.m. pain stopped coming. And then I would go for like the whole first day without pain, and maybe just like a little bit of pain in the middle. I just take a few painkillers. And then I kept doing deeper detoxes, deeper detoxes, deeper detoxes, until all of a sudden 1 month, I had zero pain, nothing. And that was the last time I took a painkiller for ovulation was March 2014. So it was actually 10 years ago exactly, was the last time I took any painkiller. That was the last painkiller I ever took. The last medication I ever took was 10 years ago. Besides something, you know, voluntary that I had in the middle. But in terms of having to take a painkiller for ovulation, this is completely inflammation. Your ovaries are organs, just like any other organs in your body, that can become incredibly inflamed. So at the point when they have to do the hardest job they have to do during the whole month, which is to release that egg into your tube that takes the most energy and the most force and the most work, it can be the most painful as a result, depending on how high the inflammation is in your body. It probably took me a good year to go from taking the 2 pills every 4 hours to going to 0 pills. It did take me a whole year, but it will get there. And the explanation, just like for any inflammation in the body, is acidity, high inflammation collected in one place, making that organ malfunction. So that's what happens when you have pain associated with an organ. Even if the organ is doing its job, but is doing it with pain, that's a malfunction. I can go again if that's okay, please, after everyone else. Okay, let me just see these last few, Yasmin, then you can go ahead. Where do we get mason jars in Egypt? Amazon has them. There's like, oh, okay, this is not even for me, that conversation. All right. Thank you. Great answer. Potatoes are amazing. Yes, they are. Can you explain why including potatoes during the 9 days slows down the detox? It doesn't slow down the detox. I said it before, if I put potatoes in the 9 days, nobody's going to eat Brussels sprouts or broccoli. That's why. From the easiest answer. Why does Mark Hyman always recommend meat and eggs for breakfast? Right. So this is remember when I say I learned things a certain way and then I had to unlearn them. So I learned from Dr. Mark Hyman, he was one of my teachers, that, you know, eating eggs, eating what he has the paleo/vegan plan, eat the eggs, eat the meat, have them for breakfast, And I did that. I was doing that when I first became a health coach. And I did that until I was 45, 46. And then it's when my perimenopause symptoms hit really hard. And I was very frustrated because I'm doing everything the doctors are saying, right? I'm doing no bread, no dairy, no junk, no sodas. Okay, I have my one little coffee, but I'm doing everything they're saying, and I'm waking up every single night drenched in sweat. And that was my first unlearning experience, where I had to look and say, right, Mark Hyman is an amazing doctor. He is the founder of functional medicine. He's literally the founding doctor of using food to heal. It's him. Like, there is no other doctor. It's him. There's been other naturopaths before, but he's a medical doctor. So there's a difference. Naturopaths and holistic practitioners who are not necessarily doctors, who have been saying this for 50 years. And I've learned from these people also. But Mark Hyman was a doctor. Like, he was literally coming in, and if you follow him on Instagram, he literally, like, he's bashing using medicine left, right, and center. He's like 100%, you go in and fix your diet first, So I trusted him completely. But then my body wasn't responding, like something was going on. And I was like, this can't be right. Like, just like all the other symptoms, I must be able to get rid of these really uncomfortable perimenopause symptoms. So I read some more, learned from some other people, and experimented. And I was like, okay, let's remove eggs. I'd be eating eggs at least 4 or 5 times a week. I removed the eggs in the morning, and I removed the meat, and I went vegan. That was my first time to go vegan. I went vegan for 6 months, and then all my symptoms disappeared. Like, the night sweats are gone. Like, the discomfort was gone. Like, everything that had slowly creeped up as perimenopausal symptoms, all of it was gone. And then I did another deep detox with a detox professional who is basically a fruitarian. He says all humans should live on nothing but fruits for the rest of their lives. So there's, you know, different teachers who teach different things within the scope of healthy eating. So within fruits and vegetables and animal protein, you have the ones who say, you know, meat and eggs, and then the ones who say, no, just fruits and veggies. So this is why when I say, you know, I'm just one source, always make everybody just one source. The only source for you is you and what works for your body. So that's why I just like it didn't work. And when I would bring in red meat, specifically red meat, that night I would wake up with a night sweat. So like I don't need like a professional to tell me what works, because the evidence is that my body, it doesn't work. So I would keep trying it. Right. So I remove red meat. Let me try it again in a few weeks. I'd wake up with a night sweat again. So it wasn't working for me. So this is why you want to, within the scope of healthy eating, right? Like you remove all the processed foods and you're just sticking with fruits, vegetables, the best quality meat that you can get. And yes, maybe even in a few months down the line, you can have eggs. Like I will have eggs when I travel. I went back and tried eggs, didn't work for me. Every time I have eggs, I would literally feel like my body heat up, just doesn't work. But can I go and have an egg when I'm traveling? Because, you know, there's like a breakfast somewhere and there's like limited options. Yeah, I'll do it. So within that scope, you're creating your blueprint, as I keep reminding you, within the scope of the healthy foods. So that's why. That's it. For some women, they can't eat meat and eggs. But what I've discovered with all the ladies who come to me, who have been eating this, also eating all the other stuff, but specifically the ones who are doing high protein, it reaches a point where it completely messes up hormones. Especially, he doesn't recommend high protein. He recommends sort of moderate. But when you do high protein meat and eggs and yogurt and all of that, it does interfere with hormones. So there can be very, very good general advice, but then when you look at it in the personalized, it doesn't quite work for everyone. And we call this bio-individuality. It's really important to remember. Sandra, I eat zucchini and mushroom with a green salad instead of the broccoli. Is that okay? Definitely okay. But broccoli now, especially Sandra, in Cairo, it's the season, right? Like it's going to go out of season really soon. So I really recommend you take advantage of that, because after this, we only get it frozen and it's not so good frozen. And broccoli specifically, when we're looking at hormonal issues, is more potent than zucchini. So if you can take advantage of the fact that we have fresh broccoli right now, I really would recommend you do that. Shadeen, I once calculated it. I took 2,500. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess if I calculate 2 pills every 4 hours for 24 hours for 4 days over 10 years, I don't know. I don't want to know. Oh my gosh. Okay. So so here's the thing. Whenever we take such an incredible amount of medication in, your body has to recover from that. The body has to recover from, because medication is toxic. It's toxic. Whatever especially painkillers, right? They're not really going in, you know, to, let's say, like, to treat an infection, and it's something that is actually gonna, you know, be effective, and then you're done with it. Painkillers do nothing but just numb, like they just cut off, you know, your nerve ending so that you're not feeling the pain. So that just builds up in your liver, you know, all of that inflammation, all of that toxicity, and it just stays there. So not only are you getting rid of inflammation from whatever you're eating and drinking, if you happen to have taken a lot of medications like I did and like Shadeen has, you're getting rid of that also, and that can take a long time. Yasmin, Dr. Berg does the same. Yes, he does. There's many doctors out there who are doing this. Nohair, I prefer to live eating fruits for the rest of my life. I like the idea. You know, I've done it. And when I do fruits only, I think the only reason I don't sustain it is just because I don't live by myself, because it's just, you know, the longest I've done fruits only, I've done a juice cleanse, which was fruits and vegetables, but the longest I've done fruits only was 2 weeks of just eating fruits, like not even smoothies or juice, just eating fruits. And it's like you're literally flying, because they're like the most energetic, high vibrational foods on the planet. It's crazy. It's crazy. And there's just nothing that compares to that feeling. Like whatever it is, some of you are starting to feel great now on this detox, multiply it by 100 when you do just fruits only. And actually, it was after I did the fruits only, I think it was 3 weeks. It was after that that I finally cut off the medications for my ovulation pains. Yeah, it was right after that. Hiba, this means that keto diet also causes hormonal imbalance. Yes. So keto, when I say high protein diets, I'm talking about keto. I mean, if you guys remember the Atkins diet from like, some of you might be too young, Atkins diet, like when I was in my late 20s, early 30s, keto is basically Atkins rebranded, right? Just high fat, high protein. I mean, they were great, right? Like I remember waking up and having a breakfast of like, what, 4 eggs, 5 whole eggs with butter and as much cheese as you want. And that was breakfast. Yum, right? I mean, we all did it, but not good for hormones. Imagine all the hormones in the eggs, all the hormones in the cheese, all of that. No. Okay, yes, when I eat fruits only, I feel flying and highest mood. It's incredible. I mean, fruits are, you know, they're God's food, right? I mean, you don't hear about, I mean, in heaven, it's all you hear about is you're going to eat lots of fruits in heaven, right? God willing, right? You're going to go to heaven, it's all fruits, right? Just fruits and fruits and fruits everywhere. So yeah, God's food. Go ahead, Yasmin.
Thanks. So 2 quick questions and then I'll leave everyone in peace because it's 5 minutes to 8. So one thing is, so if we can have grass-fed meat and chicken and stuff, obviously not overdo it, can't we by the same token have eggs and milk and butter that come from grass-fed sources? Wouldn't that make it clean?
No, because they're just, the other problem with milk, remember, is the estrogen and the progesterone that come from her own hormones go straight into the milk, right? So there's an issue with that, but technically, right, at least if it's grass-fed. But the other problem with dairy is food for a baby cow. Right? So remember we talked about that. She produces this milk for her baby cow. Her cow has 4 stomachs to digest this milk. That's how potent this milk is. It needs to go through 4 stomachs to be digested. We only have 1 little stomach that's not built like a cow's stomach to try and digest the proteins in this milk. It's very difficult for our digestive systems to break it down. But, you know, can you go and have like cheese every once in a while? Yes, of course, right? Can you go and have, I mean, does anybody, like, if you want to have a coffee with milk, right? It's not about the things you do every once in a while. It's the habits. It's the things that you're doing every single day. Depends also, and I know that this is, I mean, depends where you have it. Like if you've ever been to Italy, when you have their cheese or when you have their bread, or when you have their pizza, it doesn't make you sick. Right? Because they hold on to their old traditional ways of making bread and growing, how they feed their cows and all of this. The quality is 100 times better. It's going to take, you know, a month of living in Italy and a month of eating their bread and their pasta and their cheese every single day before you might feel that it makes a difference. Versus when you're detoxing here and then you go out and have some bread and cheese or milk, or you're in North America and you do that, you're going to feel it within a few hours, the effects of that low quality wheat, GMO wheat. Italy, it's not GMO wheat. You're going to feel the effects of the hormones in the dairy. So you just have to remind yourself that it's not, and the only reason there was an emphasis on dairy is for calcium. And we know that there's other ways to get calcium. So experiment, right? Experiment. Like the only thing that I can tell you with this is experiment. So if you feel like, I mean, when you say dairy, like what are you referring to? Are you referring to cheese or milk or yogurt or what?
Okay. And my last question for today would be, so inshallah, hopefully when we've made good progress with the clean eating and everything, how can we tell from the symptoms that we might still have which of the supplements we will need?
It would depend on the symptom. So if you're very low on energy still, okay, and let's say you are not eating as much animal protein, you feel like you're doing better. It's just the easiest example, right? Then automatically I would say add a B12, right, for energy. Or even if you are eating animal protein, because mind you, all of we're supposed to get our vitamins and minerals from all the fruits and vegetables that we eat, because they, in theory, get all of vitamins and minerals from the soil, right? Everywhere in the world, right? And then you're supposed to get whatever benefit you're supposed to get from animal protein from the food that this animal has consumed, right? And it's supposed to eat grass, which is in theory supposed to have absorbed vitamins and minerals from the soil. But because of modern day agricultural practices all over the world, not just Egypt, our soil is depleted. It's all depleted. So even if you're eating the most organic fruits and vegetables, you're not getting the vitamins and minerals you would have been getting from the same fruits and vegetables, let's say 150 years ago. All right. So you might still be eating animal protein. So you're supposed to be getting B12 in theory, but because our soil is depleted, there's chances are that the animal that you're eating didn't get its proper source of B12. So we would still have to supplement with B12. Okay, so we would look at the specific symptom. If you're still not sleeping at night, like if your only issue is insomnia, right? And you're taking magnesium, let's say you start taking magnesium, you might have to up the dose. You can up the dose of certain supplements that you're taking. If you are not sleeping and you haven't taken magnesium, then the first thing I would do is give you magnesium. If you are still having period pains and you haven't taken magnesium, we would do that. Maybe we would add in for period issues, maybe like Schisandra or raspberry leaf or something like that to like give it an extra boost, but it will depend on the specific symptom.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Abir, what about ashwagandha? I will talk about ashwagandha on adaptogen day, because that's an adaptogen. It's not a supplement. It's I mean, it falls under the bigger umbrella, but it's not like a vitamin or a mineral. It's called an adaptogen. Hiba, for fruits, especially juices, we learned that they spike blood sugar level, causing insulin resistance, leads to hormone. No, if you're drinking the fake juice, right? If you're drinking the canned Johanna juice, 100%, right? If you're drinking anything canned, that's not even, there's no fruits in there. All it is water and sugar. So 100% what you're talking about. But everything else you've ever learned about fruits, because you also learned that just eating fruits, you shouldn't eat dates, you shouldn't eat grapes, you shouldn't eat watermelons, you shouldn't eat mangoes because they spike insulin. They 100% do not. Nobody who has ever gotten insulin resistance or diabetes, pre-diabetes, got it because they were eating too many fruits. Nobody, 100% guaranteed. Bring me a diabetic who used to drink fresh fruit juices and eat a ton of fruits and then got diagnosed with diabetes or insulin resistance. Never happened. Insulin resistance is a result of processed sugars and processed carbohydrates plus too much fat, believe it or not. So it's not just about the sugars. Overeating animal protein can also impair insulin function. All right, ladies, 8:02. Thank you so much. Tomorrow, oh, today's Tuesday. Oh, so we only have adaptogens tomorrow and essential oils. Adaptogens and superfoods tomorrow. I don't know why I thought today was Monday. Okay, so tomorrow is adaptogens and superfoods, and Thursday's essential oils, and then Thursday's our last day of daily sessions. So come in with any questions that you have about previous classes that I can help you with today and tomorrow, because next week we don't have any more daily sessions. Next week is a break. I like to call it our catch-up week so that you have time to go and re-watch any other sessions that you missed or watch again if you need to, which I highly recommend so you can retain the information. And then our next class is going to be the following Sunday. It will be the emotional eating class, which is a super, super interesting, fun class. All right, so go and check your supplements, take photos of the list of ingredients. If you haven't done that for your beauty products, also do that. And I will see you all here again tomorrow, same time, same place. Good night, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.